In this video, I'm going to break down what it is I like about a photograph I've taken in the past. I'm going to go over a few elements in the photograph that once I've looked at it a few times, I've decided, yeah, this is why I like this photograph. It's quite hard to do that when you're actually making the photograph. There's only a few things in my mind when I'm actually taking the picture, outside of the technical elements about the focus being correct and in the correct area, the exposure being correct, the composition being correct, about what the contrasts are like, what the textures are like. In this case, that's almost exactly what I was thinking. The contrast between the light and the dark and the textures. This was a path at the foot of a mountain on a misty day. It's a very simple photograph. There's only a few elements to it, mostly defined by shapes. You've got the path vanishing out of shot, and then your eyes sort of follow this round the corner and out to the right of the photograph. Then you've got a mountain in the background, which sort of rises on a diagonal across the picture. And then you have the darkness of that mountain contrasted with the very light. I think on the day, obviously the sun was coming from that side through the mist, and then the clear sky that you can see in the background. You've got lots of bright light coming through there, so there's a big contrast between the light sky and the dark mountain sloping across the picture. Then you have the lighter textured path moving off to the right of the image. So that's one of the main features I liked. First of all was the texture, the gravelly texture of the path. It's also brighter than its surroundings. The mountain coming down from the right and the surrounding grassy areas on our side of the path, I think, is one chunk of this photograph. Then you have the path itself as the second element. Then you have the sky as the third element. The path also disappearing out to the right. The lack of definition because of the mist also gives you a sense of the unknown and some curiosity about where the path might go to. You then also have some more contrast between the softness on the bright negative space on the left-hand side of the image, and then the mist obscures whatever lies behind the mountain. You don't really get to see into the distance. And then the mist also fades in front of the mountain, softening it, and helps to create the rough form of the mountain towards the top of the image. And then the mist also helps to blend the left and the right, the dark and the light, the form and the lack of form. So this is obviously a black and white image, but you've got three main bands of shade within that image. You've got the bright area in the top left, and then you've got the mountain coming in from the top right, obviously much darker, and it creates a contrast with the top left, but then it also flows into the foreground. Like I said, I consider the mountain in the background and the grass in the foreground on either side of the path all to be one element of the photograph, of the three elements, then the path and then the sky. The path stands out from the foreground and the mountain, and it helps to direct the viewer's eye, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily the subject of the photograph. I think the subject of the photograph is contrast or mood. I don't think you always have to have a traditional subject in a photograph. The subject can be the light, it could be the mist, it could just be the form of the mountain, it could be the way the mountain and the sky create this diagonal across the picture. It could be the shapes, it could be many things. If you had to pick a traditional subject, it would be the path, and your eyes follow the path round in front of the mountain. And then that also helps the mind to think, where does that go? What's going on? You could also think there's a sense of mystery in the mountain itself because of the mist coming down in front of the mountain, and then you're thinking, what lies beyond, what lies behind, what can't I see? You've also then got to think about, again, because of the forms in the image and the shapes and the colour, you've got to take into account things like symmetry or contrast, the mix of light and dark, the soft and hard. And that's what gives, I think, because it's so bold in terms of the dark and the light and the path, it gives the picture a very simplistic feel. When you're making photos like this, you don't think of all these aspects. You may consider one or two, but your experience is subconsciously working away in the background to direct your attention towards what is going to make a pleasing image. As I said at the start, maybe in this photograph, I think I was probably just considering how nice the mist looked on the mountain itself, the path, the texture of the path, and the contrast of the light to the dark, to the path, surrounded by the dark again. And that would have been all that was in my mind, really. It's then later on when I sit and I look at my pictures that I then pick out more ideas of what it was like, what I liked about it. This is a process you need to go through and engage with. Once you have images you like, you need to examine them and identify what it is you like and why. Then you can start to recreate what you do like in your other images. Again, like I said earlier, this doesn't mean copying and just going out and shooting the same stuff over and over. I often find I'm in the same locations or the same types of locations over and over because it's those types of locations that help me to create the type of image I like, but I'm not looking to just recreate the same image over and over. And you can only get an idea and start to develop your own style once you really understand. And I have a video about this, about developing your own style. I'll link it at the end of this one. You can only really get an idea of creating your own style by understanding what it is you like in other people's work, what it is you like in music, films, games, other art. You need to look at it and you need to define what draws me to this. And you need to be able to distill that and write it down. And then try and find ways to capture those ideas in your own photographs. And it's also important to look at your own photographs that you like. Go back over them, look at them all, pick out the ones you like, and then sit down and write down, what do I like about this photograph? And then that will give you an idea about where you need to go, when you need to go there, and what time and what conditions to capture the type of photographs that you like. Also look at, what did I use to capture the photograph? What were the settings? And then if you bring all that together, you will start to you'll be able to look at a subject and then you'll be able to capture that subject in the way that is pleasing to you. Not just capture it as it's represented, but capture it in the way that it's represented to you. And I think it's important that you get most of this done on the day, because editing helps. Of course, you're going to edit in your own style. create, if you're using Lightroom or another package that has similar functionality, once you create a preset, I name my presets based on the type of subject and the lighting conditions of the day. So that's how I work my presets. So then when I'm in the same type of conditions, I'll have one for evening, I'll have one for strong sunlight, I'll have one for shade, I'll have one for early mornings, I'll have some for rain or for mist, rain or mist with light, rain or mist in the dark. I'll have presets like that. So when I'm out in those conditions, I have basic presets that I apply first to those images, and then I tinker further. Even in black and white, I'll tinker with the color spectrum to pull out areas and make them lighter, put areas into darkness. I don't edit heavily, but I do edit everything. And I think if you capture most of it on the day, get it as close to as you like it on the day, you start developing maybe a range of about 6 or 7 presets that you can use, and you know which one to apply depending on the time of day and the weather conditions when you were there. Then you tinker with it just a little bit just to put the finishing touches to it. You will start to see continuity between your work and between the photographs that you're taking. So that's it for this video. If you've got any comments on this particular picture or anything that I've said, just drop them below, and I'll be along with another video sometime soon.